All right, so waking up very early this morning. This is a video I've tried to sit down and record a few times, so I'm just going to do a live stream and get it all out. Waking up early this morning, I see that Clinton has won the New York primary. And many times it's supposed to have been the death blow for Blarney Sanders. And it's never quite, no defeat has ever quite amounted to that. I am not a Bernie Sanders supporter. Well, let me rephrase that. I was at one point a Bernie Sanders supporter until he decided that his getting elected president was more important than anything else. And he has been, he first of all, he's created this cult following around him. And I hate cults, and I hate cultists, and I hate religion. So this religion that he's sort of created around himself, and this mythos that people have placed upon him, especially his followers, has really served to turn me away from voting for Bernie Sanders at all. And this is someone who I wanted to run for president for a very long time, for quite a few years. But unfortunately, with the rise of the regressive left, he is not, and he has basically taken all those regressive leftists and placed them under one umbrella, and they are supporting one candidate, and that's Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is the Pope of the Holy Church of Social Justice, and SJWs, it's not a bandwagon I can get on. Basically because they're the authoritarian left, and I don't like authoritarians. It's part of the reason I don't like religion. So Bernie Sanders has lost again in New York to Hillary Clinton. Again, another person that I do not want to vote for and I do not want to support. But I think over the past, decade or so of being a member of the Democratic Party, they've given me a good construct for how I should decide to place my vote. And in the general election, at least, I'm not voting in the primary because it's the worst of two worsts, and I really don't give a shit who comes out in the end on the Democratic side. And on the Republican side, it's pretty much imminent that it's going to be Donald Trump. So I'm not a Republican. I've never been a Republican. I've never registered as a Republican. So it's not a primary that I'm going to get involved in, which brings me to another reason I don't like Bernie Sanders or his supporters. First of all this bitching and complaining about Bernie Sanders not getting Democratic Party delegates is moot. Bernie Sanders isn't a Democrat. He's not a member of the Democratic Party. He never has been. He never will be. So him bitching about not getting delegates from the Democratic Party is fucking asinine. He's never contributed to the party. He's never raised funds for the party. He's never been a member of the party. And the party members get to choose their elected candidate that gets to go against the candidate of the other party. Yes, we have a two-party system in the United States. And if he wanted to run as an independent, I would fully support that. But instead, he decided he wanted to usurp an entire party and place his morals and perspectives onto that party and bring all of his fucking baggage with him, including the authoritarian regressive left that he's brought with him, and all that fucking baggage. So, yeah, I can't support Bernie Sanders, and I'm glad he lost. So fuck Bernie Sanders. I'm celebrating that he lost New York. And all of this complaining from his fucking whiny little bitchy Bernie beta bitches up there in New York is just goes to further prove my point that they're a bunch of fucking whiny crybabies. Like I said, it's very early in the morning right now. I'm about to get up and go work out, but this is a video I've been trying to record for a long time. Finally, I just decided, fuck it. I'll get all this out there right now. So I run the page on Facebook, Fucking Liberals Against Gun Control, and I haven't been posting a lot on there over the last few weeks, and there's a few reasons for that, but I think the number one being that I just don't feel like I'm a liberal anymore. So I really don't think I can provide a liberal perspective on gun control that I was providing in the past. So I haven't been posting as much, and that's the truth of it. So yeah, so I really don't know what the future of that page is going to be at this point. And this is really what this video is about. Is I don't know what the future of fucking liberals against gun control is, because I have a few bones of contention against the new authoritarian left, the regressive left, and Bernie Sanders and his supporters. Specifically, I mean, when I'm talking about him coming in and usurping the party, I mean, it's just like a socialist to come in and take advantage of a system that's been put in place and built upon, and a bunch of capital has been invested into it from other people, and it's just like a socialist to come in and usurp that entire system and think it should benefit them, and then when it doesn't benefit them because they've never been a part of the system or never contributed, they decide they want to whine and cry about it. So to me, that really turns me off from Bernie Sanders as it is anyways. And Bernie Sanders, up until a few months ago, was a person that I wanted to run for president. Was a person that I supported, and I supported his his Senate campaign and stuff. So yeah, maybe it's just the old man in me coming out, but the Democratic Party has provided, a construct. I was thinking about this. I was rolling around in my head as I was tossing and turning in bed, and that's why I'm up right now, 4:30 in the morning recording this. But they've provided the construct over the years about how I should place my vote, and the moniker always is, why do people vote against their own self-interest? Why do people vote against their own self-interest? Well, let's check out my self-interest. I am a white, straight, cisgendered male. I'm going to describe this in terms the retarded authoritarian left can understand. Yes, I said retarded. Go fuck yourself. And I'll describe myself in ways in ways they can understand. I'm a white, straight, cisgender male, firmly planted in the middle of the middle class. So every independent analysis I have done, I have read about Bernie Sanders' tax plan, where he's going to, bring in, this is part of the religious aspect. The Pope of the Holy Church of Social Justice is going to bring a new age. Does that sound familiar? Is going to bring a new age of socialism. And in this new age of socialism, through him, all things are possible. Well, the dawning of this new age of socialism, my tax burden is going to increase 21%. And I'm firmly planted in the middle class. And that's the minimum one that I've seen based on my tax bracket from 2015. So if I'm voting in my own self-interest, I certainly don't want to vote for Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders also has the support of Black Lives Matter, which is a racist and violent black supremacy organization. Since I am a white person, not necessarily a candidate I can get behind, seeing how he has the support of black supremacists like Black Lives Matter, a group that wants to cede any responsibility for their actions or the actions of others and place the blame on someone else, which is the entire point of really what I see as the left nowadays, is to take blame, find out what's wrong, that thing that is wrong, find a way to associate the blame for that thing onto other people. So I am born with the original sin in the Church of Social Justice of being straight, of being white, of being male, of being an asshole. So since I have all this original sin based upon the holy creed of the Church of Social Justice and the authoritarian regressive left, which has raised its ugly head, which is the left's Tea Party, by the way. If you want to talk about the Tea Party, which I was against because of their authoritarian movement, I'm against authoritarianism. The authoritarian left and the new left and the social justice left is an authoritarian movement. because it's about taking rights away from other people because you feel they don't have them. The other people should not have those rights. It's the same as the religious right, the authoritarian religious right, and it is a religion on itself, all its own now, which is to me fucking absurd. And if you look at it from another construct as well, and this is how I look at it is, hey, they've found this old Jewish man with magical powers. They're willing to follow around because, according to him, when he takes power, it's going to be a new age, a new utopia. Does that sound familiar? It's about as religious gets. So, yeah, not supporting Bernie Sanders. I really don't know if I'm a liberal anymore, so that's why the I've stopped sharing on fucking liberals against gun control. I've just got a few bones of contention to pick with the new authoritarian regressive left. And I really don't know what the future of the page is. I may post on there more. I don't know. But the page, when I made it, was born out of the exhaustion of watching liberals get everything wrong about gun owners. And they would homogenize them as this group of fat white racists from the South. And I knew I was a gun owner. I wasn't a fat white racist from the South. So I knew I couldn't get on board with that. So I started following some pages like there was a anti-gun control troll league or something, and I would just jump in on whatever fight they were in, and I started, I'd go to the comment sections where they were, and I'd help them out doing gun control stuff and Rifles and Reason, and then I decided I could start my own pro gun page, and because I had a troll account where I would troll conservatives and the Tea Party when they were coming up, and so I decided just to make another page where I could do that, except do it from a leftist point of view on gun control. And I could use it to troll liberals, about gun control, and basically stick their prejudice in their face and say, look, you're trying to homogenize people down to one group, and that's not what the group is. So, I wanted to let them know there were people on their side, and they were losing people that could be allies in this quixotic bid to destroy the NRA political machine, which is really what the left is. And by the way, gun control is regressive. It's part of the regressive left. And if you haven't heard what the regressive left is, you can Google up regressive left and you can learn all about it. Majid Nawaz coined the term, I think. And you can learn about the regressive left. But the regressive left supports things like a third wave feminism, which is bullshit. The wage gap is bullshit, and I'll get into all that. But I think out of the interest of the people who frequent my page, Fucking Liberals Against Gun Control, I really have to consider leaving it behind, because as I've applied my critiques of the illiberal, anti-gun establishment, the authoritarian liberals, the regressive leftists, as they're coined now. And if you are for gun control and you're on the left, you are a regressive leftist, because the regressive left, if you boil it down to one thing, it's about feelings over rights. My feelings on this, I feel like this, even though I have no facts to support it. I feel like this, therefore your rights don't matter. I feel like when you use the word tranny, it hurts someone's feelings somewhere, so you don't have the right to say the word tranny. I feel like, well, no, that's not how it works. Would I be an asshole if I use a word that people deemed inappropriate in modern society? Yes, but I do it all the time. I curse like a sailor, so that's on me. But you can't say that I don't have the right to not say it. You can't say that. That's authoritarianism. That's taking your idea of what our culture should be and wanting to enforce that culture upon me. Like the religious right, the authoritarian religious right. They had an idea of what the culture should be, and they took it and they wanted to force it upon everyone else. Which is why I'm against the religious right. And now you're the same people. And Bernie Sanders has the support of all of these people, of all the regressive leftists. And they have horrible arguments for everything. So, I had some notes, but so I just want to talk about Bernie Sanders a little bit, and why I haven't been posting on the page that much. I think when people see fucking liberals against gun control, when they see that title and they see the word liberal in the title, I don't think I'm a liberal in any sense, because going back to how I identify myself and how, you know, the left has always said, why do you vote against your own self-interest? I have no interest in voting for either Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. I'm straight. I'm white. So I've got the those original sins. I'm male, so I've got that original sin. I'm not gonna apologize for being any of those things. So I have no way of making repentance in the Church of Social Justice, or to the Pope of the Church of Social Justice. So there's no way for me to be a member of the left, because I'm not willing to apologize for my skin color, my sexual orientation, or being male. And I'm not going to do any of those things. So if I'm going to vote based on my own self-interest, I can't vote for either Democratic Party candidate, especially not Bernie Sanders, who is an avowed socialist, which I don't have a problem with, but you don't get to run in the Democratic Party as an independent when you've been an independent the entire time, never contributed to the party, and now you're whining and complaining like a bunch of bitches because you're not getting the delegates and the votes. You're not a member of the fucking party. Go fuck yourself. You've never raised money for the party. I've raised more money for the fucking Democratic Party out of my own checkbook than Bernie Sanders has for the Democratic Party. He's raised money for himself to run for office. I mean, it's funny to me that he had no interest in being a Democrat until he needed a hierarchical umbrella under which to run to provide organizational power to his campaign for president, which I find to be complete and utter bullshit. He should have run as an independent, not as a Democrat. He's never been a Democratic Party member. Why should he expect that he'd get Democratic Party votes? So now we have the rise of the regressive left that is supporting him. And like I said, I don't like authoritarianism. So why would I support a candidate that's supported by a racist? Why would I support a candidate that's supported by racist, authoritarian, black supremacy elements? I'm white. I apologize for being white. I'm not sorry for being white. I mean, it's absurd to me that I would have to. And if you follow any of their arguments, the only logical conclusion is these are the concessions you have to make if you support Bernie Sanders. Let's not even get into fucking Bernie Sanders' foreign policy, which is just as dangerous and just as bad as Donald Trump's. A weak regressive, and Bernie is the fucking most beta, most fucking the weakest. Him as commander in chief would be fucking sorry, because not only is he going to weaken the U.S.'s position abroad, just based on his general cuckoldry and his general fucking beta weakness, his positions that you know basically Israel is evil. I mean, he comes from a Chomskyan point of view, right? So what's the Chomskyan point of view? America is evil. America has never done anything right. America's military is the most evil thing on the face of the planet. Corporations control our military. It's a fucking cavalcade of conspiracies. And his entire campaign is based upon dumb conspiracy conjecture I dismiss from the right, so why wouldn't I dismiss it from the left? Let's discuss the fucking number of conspiracies that prop up the Bernie Sanders campaign. Let's see. Number one, white privilege. It doesn't exist. I know I'm going to piss a bunch of people off. This is where I start to lose people on the page that are actually liberal. Well, the new term of liberal, who don't apply critical thinking to anything. White privilege isn't a real thing. It's a conspiracy theory, just like the patriarchy isn't a real thing. There is no patriarchy. You might as well say the Bilderbergs or the Rothschilds. You might as well be hanging out with Alex Jones talking about the Illuminati. That's how fucking crazy you sound to me. You sound like a complete lunatic. So he has a campaign that's propped up on these conspiracy theories of victimhood. Women are victims, gays are victims, the entire LGBT community, you're all victims. Black people are all victims, victims of a invisible, all-powerful, all-seeing, all-knowing, omnipotent, omnipresent system that is dedicated to one thing, keeping all of these people down. That's a lot of people to keep down, because when you're talking about females, that's 51% of the population. Yes, women outnumber men because they live longer. So mostly because they don't take the dangerous jobs, and also because men have very bad genetics that tend to make us die sooner. If you have testosterone, if you have high amounts of testosterone in your young age, you're probably going to die sooner. So you have all these conspiracy theories that prop up Bernie Sanders and, telling everyone they're a victim. I don't feel like I'm a victim. So again, I have no reason to vote for the victim president candidate, Bernie Sanders. And I live in Maryland. I guess our primary is coming up. I'm not registered to vote in Maryland. I vote in Texas, but because I'm a resident of Texas. But I wouldn't vote for Bernie Sanders. And how in the fuck am I going to vote for Clinton? Especially when I'm talking about things on a gun rights page, right? When I'm talking about gun rights and not ceding rights and all that stuff. So, how am I going to vote for Hillary Clinton? So I can't support. And when we get down to it, right? Bernie Sanders is the holy pope of the Church of Social Justice, and I guess Hillary Clinton has the archdiocese of feminism. If we break it down into that context, she's like the cardinal of the diocese of feminism for the victim culture that is now part of the Democratic Party. And I have a lot of other bones to pick with the regressive left, a lot with the regressive left, especially concerning their support of an evil and barbaric religion responsible for 98% of the terrorist attacks of the world, a religion that in some countries imprisons people for being gay, in some countries throws them off roofs for being gay, but they will not stop at any point to criticize or accept any criticism of that religion, or accept the fact that the reason that these things happen, these violent acts, the terrorist attacks like the ones that happen every fucking day in that part of the world, they won't accept that it has something to do with the religion, which is the biggest failing, and which is a big part of why Bernie Sanders' foreign policy is fucking scary. when you're approaching it from a, first of all, you're approaching it from a weak Chomskyan point of view. You're going to weaken the U.S. position, which in turn weakens our allies' positions overseas. So you have a domino effect. And then on top of that, you have a guy who isn't willing to concede the reality of the situation as it actually is. Won't admit to the reality of the situation as it is. And instead decides to make excuses. And again, Muslims are victims of the corporate military machine in their lust for oil, the military industrial complex, and their lust for money and their lust for greed. So under the context of, I guess, under the context of, what I heard from liberals and Democrats for all my voting life. I voted in the first election when I was 18 in 2000. And what I've heard my entire time is, why do all these people vote against their self-interest? Well, I guess I won't. I guess I won't vote against my self-interest. I need to take that message to heart and not vote against my self-interest. And I guess I won't be voting for either one of the Democratic presidents. I don't know. We will see. The time will tell, and the future will tell.